city needs to do that, and the city needs to do something else. Well, I'm gonna give you some facts about what the city has done. In January, Chief Gilreth and I had a discussion about increasing traffic patrols for traffic violations, especially speeding. That was in January. The 1st of February, in January, he had a meeting with his supervisors. 1st of February, he put out an email to all the rest of the guys. We actually said, I said, work overtime if you can on the weekends to help the people who are here work overtime to do traffic control. What that brought up was last year, year to date this time, was about 750 tickets. This year, year to date this time, is over 1,100 tickets, and they must have wrote 30 today. I don't know. There was
28.
28. Okay, I was close. Just listening to the radio, I was close. I didn't count them. So, and in that 28, I want you to know, my step-grandson got one. But he's not gonna call me. You can bet on that. His hard-earned money's gonna pay for that ticket. And laugh if you will, but my other grandson got one for parking, and did he call me? No, because they know I don't do tickets. So they don't call me. So you got 2 of them. You got 2 more to go. to still drive. How about that? So anyway, they've done a lot of work on traffic control, traffic enforcement. But as Chief Gilbert says, traffic enforcement is like fishing. You don't catch them all. You catch some once in a while. Some days you catch 28, some days you catch 4. But they are working on it. So that's nothing new, regardless of what you might hear on social media. So this year, and last year, and the year before, we put in 11 blocks worth of ped pass around this island. And we got 1 more to go to finish off the connection.
One more phase of 5
Yeah.
blocks.
We spent about $1.5 million in pedestrian pass. We've done more in the last 5 years in this city to make pedestrians safe than this been done since I can remember, from 2002. But if you want to see what happens to pedestrian pass, come sit with me on West 2nd Street any Saturday or Sunday you want to, and watch the people walk down the middle of the street because their IQ doesn't tell them to walk on the sidewalk. Unfortunately, they check that at the bridge because they're on vacation. But we have pedestrian pass, and we're going to do more, and there's more to come as we can work them out year to year, up and down the streets. Crosswalks. Crosswalks has been a topic for whatever around here, and I would just like to say this about crosswalks. I don't care if you have diagonal crosswalks, straight crosswalks, lit crosswalks, non-lit crosswalks, until we can have enough policemen to work every crosswalk and write people a ticket that don't follow the rules and regulations of traffic safety and we're using a crosswalk, people are not going to do what they're supposed to do. Who on this council has not walked across the street where it wasn't a crosswalk? I have myself. Probably everybody in the audience probably has at one time or another. So we have to take responsibility for ourselves to do what's right. And maybe, I know the tourists don't like hearing the residents say, why don't y'all use the pedestrian path, or why don't y'all use the crosswalk like you're supposed to? Last Saturday, 2 ladies got hit right here on the corner of Ashley Avenue and Center Street. So I'm really aware of that corner. I'm sitting at that corner today about lunchtime, my right turn signal on to turn right. I have a red light. 3 ladies standing on the corner in front of what used to be St. James Gate, in that area right there. So I'm watching their sign that says, do not walk. My light turns green, their sign says, do not walk. What do? Step out in the street. If I hadn't paid attention, I'd have been in the same fix that the woman was last Saturday. They saw the green light, turned right, there was pedestrians. So, we have to be vigilant for those pedestrians, and we have to do what we're supposed to do as citizens. I meant to say earlier, and Chief Gilroy will vouch for this, not only has there been over 1,100 tickets written, but he hasn't got me the number of how many residents is in that 1,100. The other day, he wrote 4 speeding tickets Does anybody want to guess how many residents was in that 4? 50%, 2. 2 out of 4 was residents speeding on the island. So we have to set the example ourselves. You know, we have to take responsibility for some of that example setting. As I said before, you know, crosswalks are only as good as the people that use them. And if you don't use them right, no matter how many crosswalks we have or how many flashing lights we have, it's not gonna make any difference. So I just wanna talk about for a minute, it was a terrible accident on Ashley Avenue that a bride lost her life. A groom got hurt. The driver, the groom's brother got hurt. The nephew, 17 years old, he got out with minor injuries. He was lucky. That story has tugged at everybody's heartstrings for a while. But folks, don't forget, in 2014, we had a bachelor party that was walking down Ashley Avenue on the side of the road, got hit by a driver under the influence who was from off the beach. So that driver was a come here under the influence. The groom got hurt badly. The best man got killed. And another one got hurt so bad I had to take him to catch a train when he could finally get out of medical university, because the cast they had him in, he couldn't sit in an airplane. So he had to catch a train back to the DC area. That was in 2014, not that long ago. Fast forward a minute, July the 3rd, 2021, Ashley Avenue, other side, hit and run. Unfortunately, this time the hit and run with the fatality was a resident. Probably driving under the influence. I can't guarantee that. I'm not gonna say that it was or not, but was it, Chief? Yes. Okay, so it was. You know, that's 2 bad ones right there. Let's back up a little bit. About 13 years ago, we had a hit and run with a fatality. We don't know who that was. They never did find that driver. They found the body at the corner of West 2nd Street and West Indian Avenue the next morning. You know, so we've had, actually, what was the one at the washout, was 3 years ago? 2 years ago? You remember, Rocky? The guy that got hit past the washout down there? Supposedly a Trans Am hit him, run over him, killed him. Anyway, couple of years ago, there was another fatality that was a hit and run. So, you know, this place is bad for things like that. I mean, it's not, driving under the influence is not good. And I'm not gonna preach to anybody about driving under the influence. I was young and made some dumb decisions and was very lucky, knock on wood, that I didn't get caught driving under the influence, or I didn't get in a wreck, or I didn't run over somebody. Bad decisions when you're young, it's easy to make. And as long as we sell alcohol on this island, predominantly every business on the island is in business other than t-shirt shops is selling alcohol, we're gonna have impaired drivers. I'm sorry, that's what's gonna happen. I don't like it, you don't like it, that's a fact of life. Now, the problem is, since I've been mayor, I know of several instances where our own residents have been ticketed for DUIs. Not good examples that we set in our own community. You know, it's bad news. So while we're quick to point our fingers at the visitors for drinking and driving, you know, we got to remember, let's don't us do that. Let's get a ride or a driver, or don't drink unless you're home. I don't know what all the answer is. Ron White said, don't drink and drive. Which is it? You know, in a comedian's set. But you know, it's true. I'm still waiting on the speeding tickets from Chief Gilruth for when we find out how many residents out of that 1,100's got speeding tickets, we're gonna let y'all know. How about that? When we know that. There's other suggestions that's been floating around. I love this one. Let's open the right-of-way from West Cooper 5th Street to 9th Street. I love that. It's been brought up twice. In 2007, it was brought up by Susan Breslin. I told her it was a bad idea at the time. She was on the planning commission. She found out quickly it was a bad idea because the people who lived by that right-of-way squashed it, the dead bug. Fast forward 2017, the Parks and Recreation Committee decided it was a good idea to bring that up again. I told them it was a bad idea, don't do it. Oh no, we're gonna do it. But guess what? That didn't last long either. That got squashed real quick. Not in my backyard, guys. We ain't building those. At that time, they said, okay, we're not gonna build a walkway back there, so we'll just build Wave Watch Playground at the end of them. That's how that playground come about in 5th Street. So a lot of these ideas that's floating around out there have been tried and squashed by residents. Now, when the residents that live along that right-of-way from 5th Street, West Cooper to 9th Street comes and says, let's build a walking path or a bicycle path back there, I'm all for it. I'll be out there on the bush hogging it myself. But until then, I'm not touching it because we've heard from the residents, we've heard from the people who live there, they don't want it. And I understand, they don't want it. Finally, I'll say this, and I'll quit. We've been working, or we are working with DRT to see about getting a street safety, highway safety survey with their experts on Ashley Avenue from County Park to County Park, the whole length of Ashley Avenue. And what's really nice is they're gonna come back and say, hey, the owner of this street needs to do X, Y, and Z. Guess who owns that street? DOT owns that street. And that is why a lot of times you come in here and say, oh, let's paint crosswalks across the street. We've done that and had to take them up. Let's paint this yellow or red. DOT has very strict rules and regulations about what they'll let you paint and what color you can paint it. How many signs you can put up and what the size of the signs are and what the signs say. As long as they own the streets, or majority of the streets, Charleston County owns a lot of others, we got 2. You know, they're gonna have, it's their streets, and their rules. We work with them hard, we work with them as hard as we can. But unfortunately, the folks who live here are being denigrated, I guess, by the folks who don't live here saying, we wanna come to the beach and we want to park and we want everything free and we don't wanna do this and we don't wanna do that. We try to tell them all the time, hey guys, it costs our residents to live here. It costs our residents a lot to live here. We have a lot of public access to the beach. There's a lot of free parking to the beach. It might not all be on one street a half a block over. You might have to walk a block, but I guarantee you, you don't have to walk any further to get to the beach at Folly Beach than you have to walk in the parking lot at Walmart to try to get into Walmart on a typical afternoon. Guarantee you. You know, and we have walkovers, we have cut throughs to the middle of the streets to get to the beach, you know, so we work hard with DOT to recognize those facts and to get that done. So I can't wait for the safety survey to come out and tell us what we already know, and then we can say, okay, so rumble strips sound like a good idea. Let's put them in. You said it's a good idea. Let's put them on your street. You've always said we don't want them on our street. So here we go. So the city's been doing a lot. It's been doing a lot over the last 5, 6 years, 7 years for public safety. Public safety's been doing a lot for pedestrian safety, traffic safety. We have tragedies. I hate it. Things are going to happen. I hate it. We're going to have drinking and driving as long as we have people selling alcohol, because people make bad choices, make bad decisions. And with that, I'll shut up. Okay, so we have staff reports, sea level rise adaptation. You'll listen to somebody a lot smarter than me, Dr. Elko.
Would you please take on these examples? city's coastal management consultant. I'm also a resident. I live at 403 East Huron. And I'm here to talk to you tonight about the sea level rise adaptation plan update. So in 2017, we passed a sea level rise adaptation plan. It was one of the first in the state. The city of Charleston and I think Beaufort County had done one before that. And it has guided a lot of the things that you all are implementing nowadays. For example, I think I saw an ordinance on the agenda later regarding some rezoning of Marsh Island. So a lot of these initiatives have come out of these sea level rise planning efforts that began back in 2017. It's been 6 years, so we have initiated an update to that plan. The science has changed, the physical environment is changing, and we think it's time for us to kind of look back and see where we've come, how well we've done with implementation, and so on. In terms of new guidance, in 2022, an interagency report came out of the federal agencies, NOAA, NASA, FEMA, and others, telling us that we should expect 1.5 feet of sea level rise by 2050 in the Charleston area. Okay. In our 2017 plan, we said we were going to plan for 3 feet of sea level rise over the next 50 years. Well, that was kind of a squishy time frame. Now the agencies are suggesting we look at 1.5 feet by 2050. And to me, that feels a lot more imminent, a lot more pressing. So imagine a king tide today and imagine it 1.5 feet higher. All right, that's what we are being told to expect by 2050, which is about 25 years from now. So that's a real thing in my mind. So that's helpful, and our update plan is called Folly 2050 to kind of help folks visualize that concept. We have initiated a lot of public engagement. I want to thank many of you who have been involved. Mr. Grooms, thank you for attending our planning charrette that we held last month. So we had external experts and Folly Beach stakeholders come together. Joe Wilson, thank you for being there. Aaron and the amazing staff and the folks at South Carolina Sea Grant helped facilitate about 35 people to really dive in and talk about how we've done with implementation on drainage management. Some of those sidewalks that you're talking about involve drainage features underneath them. So a lot has been done, and there are some areas where less implementation has occurred. Education is one of those pieces, so that's why I'm here tonight, to kind of remind everyone of the importance of this and to really encourage you to take the survey. So the survey, I've just given out a flyer to everyone on council. Sometimes we think, oh, this is great, we're doing all this engagement, and then we forget ourselves to do it. I live here, I haven't taken the survey, I made the survey, but they're like, oh yeah, I should take it too, right? So just a reminder, everyone, please take that survey. Tell us how flooding is affecting you. Tell us what your concerns are. Where are we doing well? Where do we need to do more? What will be developed from this is with the College of Charleston and Sea Grant, we have a map of the island that shows different levels of flooding. So we are able to look at what a king tide looks like today and what it will look like in 2050. We can overlay that with your responses, so your parcel will light up based on how much flooding you say is happening there. And this is a really neat way for us to kind of use the human input along with the science to find those hotspot areas. Oh, here's a priority area that maybe we didn't get an $8 million grant for, yay staff, for drainage, right? So again, things are really coming along well, and I applaud the city for all that's been done already to adapt to sea level rise. There's still more to do, and we want to make sure everyone is engaged in the process so that, when an ordinance comes before you a year, 2, 3 years from now, you remember why we're doing this. Finally, what we'll be doing over the next month is moving toward drafting the report, prioritizing any new recommendations that are coming out of these engagement events, and then on June 20th, at the Folly Family Fun Night Civic Club thing at the River Park, we will be there kind of showing these maps, showing you the results of the survey, and just making sure that, doing a sniff test, that the recommendations that we're prioritizing are the ones that are important to you all and to the community. So more to come, and I'll be back in a couple months probably to update you on results. If there are any questions, I'm happy to address them.
It doesn't take long to take the survey. I actually did it. So one survey I actually took.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, so I need approval of the agenda. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
Mr. Ellis,
Yes.
Dr. Hooton,
Yes.
Mr. Groom,
Yes.
Mr. Farley,
Yes.
Mr. Barker,
Yes.
Mayor Goodwin,
Yes.
passes.
So have approval for a motion to approve the minutes from, April the 11th. Have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Have a second?
Second.
Any additions or corrections? Without objection. Personal appearances. Mr. Barber, you have to be up first.
Thank you, sir.
Oh, yeah, well, he wants to introduce it for you.
So,
I think you could have just,
It's on.
It's on?
So when it doesn't broadcast in the room, it only broadcasts to the stream.
Okay, good.
So it is
Aaron
working.
wants to make a couple of comments before you get started.
Just
Maybe help you out a little bit.
Yeah,
Hope
just
so.
a brief history for city council. About a year, maybe even a little over a year ago, several folks from off the island approached us, residents of Pease Island, the Clam Farm, and Bowens Island, to discuss a solution they have for a problem they have, which is trying to turn left on and off of Folly Road during busy times. They came and, representing about 200 some residents, letting us know the problems and issues they have out on Folly Road and asking us for their help. And like good bureaucrats, we said, we'd love to help you, but before we do anything, we need to go get some more information. So they've spent about the last year working with staff and DOT to get information, talking to traffic engineers, talking to DOT, finding out what DOT would need to explore the issue further. And Mr. Barber's going to tell you the results of all that research tonight.
Thank you. Thank you for allowing me to be here and for your attention. As Mr. Pope mentioned, there are three communities, Bowens Island, Pease Island, and the Clam Farm, who are asking for your help, and also two relative successful businesses who have a lot of customers and clients who, certainly during the season, are asking for your help. If you can envision this, I should have brought a chart with me, but if I'm leaving Bowens Island and wanting to go to James Island or go to Charleston, which a lot of our customers do, or if you're on Pease Island and you want to come to the beach during this busy time, they have a similar problem but a little different configurations. If I'm leaving Bowens Island half of the year, I'm, thank goodness, have some very gracious people coming toward Folly who will let you in, but there's nowhere in the world that you can see what traffic is coming from Folly. And my wife and I think some other of my relatives and neighbors have begun using a technique of taking a right to go to Folly. And it's easy in my wife's Subaru. It's not nearly as easy in my extended truck bed. We now go toward Folly, and then we do a U-turn as soon as we can get in the left lane, because after a while, until 2 years ago, we just finally got tired of risking our lives, literally. People were very nice. They would wave you on, but you had no idea what was coming or how fast they were coming. And so we started doing a U-turn. Now, our customers and the kayak boating company customers, they don't know that little trick. So they sit there and wait, and the people looking toward Folly are waving them on, but they really, that you just don't know. And that's when the traffic is bumper to bumper, which it frequently is from a lot of times in March, on the weekends certainly through Labor Day. And again, people are very nice to let you in, but you just don't know what's coming from Folly, or if you were coming from Pease Island, you've got to depend on somebody letting you in as opposed to you're easing into a potential turn lane that would benefit people coming from Pease Island, the Clam Farm, or Bowens Island. They could share that. You just can't see the cars. So I'll be very brief with it. I don't want somebody to be hurt badly. The mayor used the term avoiding a tragedy or near tragedy a minute ago, and I think that's what's kind of waiting for us, unfortunately. But again, we avoid it by doing that technique of coming toward Folly and doing a U-turn, which is not the greatest thing in the world by any means, but we're asking for you to try to put in your budget not a big amount of money, particularly if compared to the potential losses with a wreck or somebody being hurt badly, to fund a study to see how we can resolve that. And there's space there to do it. It's not a big, engineering feat to be able to do it. It's just that we got to get it approved by DOT and by the city to do it. And so you got to have a serious study to do it. And I think the study costs something around $60,000. And for the sake of a lot of people, I think it'd be well worth it. We certainly ask you to weigh that as best you can, and if you can put that in the budget, we would beg you to do that.
Good timing, because we're gonna have another workshop, and then we'll be doing the budget shortly.
Okay.
Any questions?
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
Appreciate it.
Yeah. I was gonna say nobody knew that technique until about 5 minutes ago. There he goes. Social media's already working it. So. I was gonna say Miss Travis wasn't here, but then I saw you were.
Hiding in the back. So I think, I'm here for two different things, but first is Folly's 50th. In your packets, you guys should have kind of our tentative schedule of events for the 9 days. And the purposes of me being here today is for the 2 street closure requests. The first request is on the 23rd, September 23rd, which is a Saturday, which is designed to be our Folly Through the Decades celebration, where we're gonna, we would like to park some classic cars, coinciding with each decade that Folly has been a city, along the street, kind of like in a diagonal pattern. So we don't want to do vendors out there, which is a little bit different than our previous street closures. We are considering doing some music and a small kids area in the Dunes and Woody's kind of shared lot, just to keep those kiddos entertained. But so it's kind of a modified street closure. I'm looking to do it from Ashley back to Huron. So that's on the 23rd, which is the first map after the tentative schedule of events. And then we want to do a second street closure on Saturday, September 30th, which would be a normal or typical street closure where we line the streets with vendors, have a few bands, kid zones, that type of stuff. The only addition to that street closure would be our hope to have a couple of rides. We don't plan to have them within that street closure area, but rather on county land, so it'll be a couple blocks over. So that's really the details. Obviously, there's a ton of other maps on there because I'm a little thorough with my mapping. I feel bad. I told Lacey, I was like, you probably don't need them all. But anyway, they're all there. You probably don't need them. It's really the first 2 for your reference points. So, seeking approval on those 2 for any questions.
Any questions?
It's great.
Do-
Forward to it.
Do we need to, is there a vote?
You're already on the books for
Okay.
just kind of information.
Just wanted to make sure. Okay, I wasn't sure if we had to vote. Okay, and then the second topic.
We're gonna vote no for this one.
Okay. Second topic is 4th of July fireworks. So, of course, our plan for that is to do fireworks around dusk on the 4th of July, which is usually about 9 or 9:15 p.m. We would do it at 3rd Street West again. After speaking with public safety, our plan is to close the beach, except for those people that are actively walking. We would close it for the whole day, beginning at 9 a.m. all the way through till when the fireworks go off, and then a cleanup happens. So approximately 11 or 12 midnight, we would keep it.
Does that have to happen? I mean,
That was the request of public safety.
it's a lot harder to get people to pack up and move than just stop it in the morning. It becomes, it's like herding cats. So it's easier to block off a section of the
one of the most crowded places on the beach with the bathhouse there. And it just seems to me to be, if you direct people and you say this part of the beach will close at 3 and you put signs up that say that, then police can usually move people pretty well.
Of course, we can force people to move, it just, over years in the past, the reason we made this suggestion is because of the amount of conflict that happens, and it's avoidable conflict.
Yeah, I think again, if you post it ahead of time, you can tell people you're fine to be here till 2 or 3. That's a lot better than shutting down one of the most crowded parts of the beach the entire day. So, just my thoughts on it.
But that was, yeah, those are our 2 large upcoming events, so. Any other questions?
Anybody else? Any thoughts?
Does that require a vote? The beach closure portion?
No, they're already in the bless of this.
Put it. Okay, well, thank you so much.
Well, the event was approved, but the specific closure was not necessarily approved.
Well, the event was approved according to the, we sent it to the events committee, so did the events committee say we're gonna close all day? I mean, we could take a vote on it, make a motion to not close it all day.
I can sort of count already, so.
Okay. I understand this, it's a very busy part of the beach, and I understand not closing it all day is like probably the best thing. If the people would abide by the rules and regulations, but you know, that's not gonna happen, so then the policemen are out there trying to make people move, and you have to argue with the families, and I got my whole set of kids here, and then set it up, and I can just,
It's all about communication.
Yeah.
If you have signs up and you tell people, you can stay here, but at 3 o'clock you're gonna move, people see signs, you don't have near the trouble, but when you don't put any signs up, and then you show up at 3, and then you try to move people, it is a problem. And it's always been my experience, if you communicate, you can eliminate a lot of problems.
well, you know how I feel about signs. People walk by signs every day and say, you need to put a sign up, and you walk by the sign 3 times, it says exactly what you need to put a sign up
I
for.
don't wanna have long mayor comments on
No.
August meetings.
No, I'm not. Okay.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Howley, you're up next. Always good to see you.
Well, Carl Halley, 1300 Cuddy Drive. I represent the Tourism and Visitors Committee, and I started in sales many years ago, and I think this is gonna be the easiest sale I've ever made. We would like to take $106,000 out of our promotion budget and give it to Eric for a pedestrian pathway. And we need approval from council because it is above our approved budget. And so that is the resolution in front of you. If you approve that, we will move $106,000 out of our budget over to public services or whatever division it is. And they will use it to continue the pedestrian pathway program that we have. We look at it as a visitor enhancement project, so it enhances our visitors' stay on the beach. And that's how we justify it to the state of South Carolina.
Do I have a motion for,
Any questions?
all right, can I have a motion for approval?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a question. I noticed at your meeting, it was specifically for like East Hudson and West Indian, but in the ordinance ahead of us, you're just giving it to us for any pedestrian path. Because I'm not sure council is really, we ran into this last time, I think, where you identified a public path, and then we started talking about council, and we reprioritized the order and kind of got things out of kilter, so.
We've been through that process. Is that correct, Eric? And it is for
This commitment is for
West Indian.
Indian and Hudson.
As council,
East Indian?
Indian both sides and Hudson both sides,
Okay.
from second to second.
And council previously redirected us to, instead of doing Cooper, to start with Indian. So council has already selected the Indian connection, and the Hudson connection will be preliminary design for that section.
Yes, I think I might rather do another extension on Ashley before I did Hudson. So, yeah, I realize you're trying to plan ahead, but it seems like, I don't know that council's had talk about the second part of this. So if the money comes and it's earmarked for these two projects, then we get ready to do this project, and then we say, well, we'd rather extend West Ashley to the bathhouse, and we've done all this technical work on East Hudson, or West Hudson.
So Councilman Farley, council did previously approve a conceptual design for all of the commercial district from Second East to Second West.
We did, but we didn't prioritize it and order it. We didn't say which sections would come first and which sections would come second.
We have definitely twice now at council reaffirmed Indian.
Yes, I agree. It's part B that I'm saying.
Discussion with TVPC, people that were in their different positions at that time, because they wanted to dedicate it to Hudson and Indian. So I don't know if we say, no, we don't want to do Hudson, then they may say, okay, we don't want to give you that line. I don't know, that was a group decision with TVPC.
I just think council should have the final decision after a discussion amongst all of council to talk about, and you're correct, we did say we wanted to complete the loop. We wanted to do Indian. We talked about doing the cover over the ditch down there between Huron and Indian. But I don't know, you correct me if I'm wrong, I don't know that we said that Hudson was the project that would immediately follow the Indian project. Did we?
That was what TVPC said they would support.
Well,
Funding. I don't
if
know if council, I don't know the council specifically ever said.
you might not have specifically said this is gonna A, Hudson's gonna follow B, Indian, and Indian's gonna follow Hudson. But when you said, we wanna finish the loop, it's Indian and Hudson. So I mean, when council made that conscious decision to finish that loop, that's the loop.
That's not the loop. The loop is Ashley to Second, to Indian, to Second West, to Ashley, to Center Street. That's the loop, the big loop.
Not when y'all said y'all wanted to extend it to Hudson and Indian.
So,
I mean, we'll have to look up the minutes.
so
because-
West Indian will complete the loop. West Hudson, which the TVPC has volunteered to give us money for, is within the previously identified conceptual plan for the commercial district. At this point, no discussion at any point at council, TVPC, or any level has been for a path outside the commercial district. TVPC has offered to help us complete our pre-approved conceptual plans for the commercial district. If you would like to, we could not take the money for West Hudson, speak with city council, see if you guys prefer another ask, and go back to the TVPC for a new path, maybe beyond the boundaries of the commercial district.
You just thought it was an easy sale. See what you
I've had
did?
failures before.
I just think the prioritizing ought to be done after a thorough discussion by council to see if Hudson is the next step. Maybe,
Well-
if you want to take that vote now, we take it now.
You're gonna take it in a minute when you get to the resolution.
I propose an amendment that we accept the money and have a discussion.
We're not to the resolution.
Okay.
So you got that in the packet. He's just explaining where he got the money from and why the resolution's before you.
Well, when the resolution comes up, we'll talk about that. Thank you, sorry.
No, that's fine.
Is it an all-awful proposition?
The way it's presented, they would have to go back, to their group and make another vote within their group if they wanted to spend the money to do something else. So tonight is yes, I would say.
Well, look at the resolution again.
What number is that?
It's not tied in the resolution.
I don't see those streets identified.
It's not, but in your minutes of your meeting, it
In our
is.
minutes of our meeting, we suggestion, that's all we can do. That it be applied to West Indian and East Hudson. because East Indian is not a very traveled path, and it ends up in a drainage ditch. So our thought was it'd be more appropriate to dump straight across, come back one block, you got the gas station there, and it leads to, eventually it leads to the county, or the city pickleball courts. Is that, you need me anymore?
Thank you, Carl.
Okay.
Surfless.
AJ, you're up next. I'm not even gonna butcher your last name. You give it to us though, how about that?
Yeah, so, my name is Kyle Busey, I'm owner operator of Carolina Salt, and currently allowed 10 people. And I think it was my understanding that this year was the renewal for the franchises, correct? For 5 years?
No. We extended surf lessons until December.
This year? Okay. I remember I spoke to some people in the city, the front desk, I don't know none of you, but I was told last year, I'm sure I was informed incorrectly, then this year, and we've just been patiently waiting for a franchise for 5 years, so. We're just, asking for a raise in our amount of participants to just try to hang with the rest of the surplus providers.
Do I have a motion for approval?
So moved.
Have a second?
Second.
Well, I think you saying you're trying to hang with the rest of the surf lesson guys, you are. And you got your numbers bumped up until the end of the extension already, one time.
The other ones are currently at 40, I believe, and then there's one at 80.
Those are camps, those aren't surf
Yeah, they're
lessons.
franchises.
So you're trying to move from a surf lesson to a camp.
I'll be honest with you, I have nothing, I don't want anything to do with 40 kids.
Well, I'm just saying, you're talking about apples and oranges. Surf lessons are held at a lower number and have been up and down the beach historically.
Correct.
The camp franchises are camps and franchises. So you're trying to get you're trying to create a franchise
Well,
with a higher number
We
of
had every
people.
intention on applying for a franchise this year.
But that's fine, as soon as they come open. So, but what I'm saying right now is what you're trying to do is trying to create a franchise with another bump up in surf lesson numbers.
In prior years, from my understanding, was you would apply in March or April of that year and get granted for that year.
But because this year it got extended because of all the business license change, and that's why everything got pushed back. In prior years, the business license was due in January. This year, the state made it all different to April. So everything in the business license world got pushed back. Not just at Folly Beach, all over the state of South Carolina. So my license in downtown Charleston I didn't go in January, I had to go in April to get them. So everything got pushed back. So that's why those franchises hadn't come up yet.
We're definitely not trying to extend it for kids. That's, once again, in my opinion, that's ridiculous and unprofessional. I am requesting and asking for a bump in the numbers just to, because we have a very short window, like many businesses.
So you want to go to how many kids? Wait a minute. You want to go to how many kids?
20, if possible.
So from what to what?
10 to 20.
So you want to double the size?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Go ahead, you ask me, then I go.
That was my question. You have 10,
Yes, ma'am.
you want to go to 20.
Yes, sir.
Not just for one sort of time frame from here forward.
I'm
Ten-
totally fine with that, honestly.
Okay, so I just need honestly a yes or no. So you're requesting 10 to 20 from forward, okay? Okay, bottom line, okay.
So that's after December, correct?
Okay, I'm not gonna,
Okay.
okay. Secondly, that is different than what the mayor said. That's totally different than a camp. Yes or no?
I think it's different than the campus.
Okay, thank you.
What is the current other franchises? What are their caps?
So there's a difference. A surf camp is 40. Surf lessons were 5 until this year. When they were awarded this year, they were raised from 5 to 10.
Okay, and that's
All lessons.
That's all lessons. Okay, just to be clear.
Okay, so we're at 10.
What is, so when you went from 5 to 10, how did the staff ratio change?
We always have the far as 3-to-1, student to instructor ratio at the very minimum. When you have somebody with 80 kids, for example, it's far less than that. And I'm on the front lines every day. You might have someone come say to you one thing in here, and then I see something else the other way. So
How many other franchises do we have?
Just to finish out that question. So when you had 5 students, you had 1.5 staff?
it depends on, we look at the age of the participants. So we have 5 participants, we have 2 to 3 instructors.
All right, so then when you went to 10, did you in fact?
Yes, we have to. Yes, sir.
So you had three instructors for 10?
We usually do a little bit more. We usually do at least 1 extra in case unforeseen things, just, run around, things like that. So we tend to have more than that.
And so what would you be proposing for 20 students, staff?
8 to 10, honestly, just because you can never have too many, in my opinion.
And how would we know if they only had 2 for 20 students on a given day because of all
Never,
that?
just I'm very confident what I do. That's all I'm saying. What about the check?
And then if we were to do this, would apply for all operators of surf lessons?
I don't see why it wouldn't.
I'm not trying to allow anybody else. I'm just saying.
Well, if I was another surf lesson, I'd come in here and say, you did it for one, so you need to do it for everybody.
How many of those do we have?
I'm counting them right now.
There's 3 other franchises.
3 other?
Yes, so
There's
there's
4 total.
Sorry. There's 4 franchises, 3 operators. So there's 1 operator, I believe, is allowed 2 franchises, so a total of 8 kids.
How many surf lessons?
We have 3 surf lessons and 2 yoga lessons that are non-franchises.
And how long have you been operating at the current level of 10?
Oh, with you?
1 year. No incidents to
No.
report?
I just have a question, Mr. Pope, when he's done.
It's gonna take a minute.
How often?
You okay?
Once a week?
Surf lessons?
Yeah,
Every day.
every day.
Yes, sir.
So if we took, this is Mr. Pope, gotcha. So if we took everyone then, in all fairness, that does lessons, how many is that?
That's what he's looking for.
Okay, so we'll look into that. Then I'm gonna say times 20, in all fairness. So I'm looking at total capacity of what's going on then on a daily basis. Okay, thank you.
So we have 3 surf lessons are not surf camps. We have 3 surf lesson providers currently.
60.
So the total potential is 30 students
Going to 60.
additionally. If we give them 10 more, if we give, right?
Our budget is 20 at any given time. Out there at this point.
Right, you're gonna have 20, but the other 2, they're gonna get 10 too. We can't do it just for you.
Gonna get 60.
So that's 30,
60.
no, it's 30.
We're gonna go to 20 times 3 is 60. To be fair to the other 3.
These people's qualifications are checked, correct? Because I'm a stickler by now.
This ain't a debate here. For what Mr. Ellis is saying is, right now there's 30, 3 times 10 is 30. And if you raise it 10 more for each one, it'll go up 30 more per.
Yep,
for the
If they
whole
choose to
group,
do it.
60.
got you. Yeah, we're on the same page.
Ask you this, is the demand that strong, or is it you doing this to make economics?
No, absolutely not. I'm not in doing what I do for economics. It is, there is a demand for it, especially with our reputation. Yes, yes, sir. There is a demand for it.
Any other questions, comments?
So the question, you said you have a ratio roughly of 3 students to 1 instructor. We don't know what the others do, and I don't know if it's appropriate for us to have a requirement, but I would hate to see an operator have 1 or 2 instructors for 20 students. I think that's a safety
I agree.
challenge.
I think we did have requirements about you had to have so many instructors per so many students, plus that you had to have somebody that was certified in first aid,
Right.
et cetera, et cetera. You're asking questions he's trying to find right now.
Aaron, I'm looking at the ordinance, if that's what you're looking for.
That's what he's looking for.
It's 118.03 2E. And our ordinance currently says surf lessons are limited to a maximum of 5 students.
Correct. And council amended that to 10 when they approved them for this year.
Did
So
they do
that's
that by
third.
ordinance?
They did it during the approval. And then all surf and paddleboard lessons must adhere to the following standards. At least one instructor per 10 students must be a lifeguard, CPR, or first aid certified. So currently, the instructor to student ratio for surf lessons and surf camps is 1 per 10 students.
So if you say yes to him, then you would increase it to a potential of 30 more, not 60 more.
Yeah.
And the other two might not do 10 more students. Maybe they'll just do 2.
And I apologize, I misspoke. One instructor per 10 students has to be certified, but lessons and camps have to have one instructor for every 5 students. And one for every 10 has to be certified as a lifeguard, CPR, or first aid.
What location are you in?
1673 East Ashland.
Is that where you do your lessons?
That's where we're located.
It's 1600 block.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
On the quiet.
So way up.
That's what I prefer to say.
So would you include that when you say yes to the additional 10, would you also include and clarify that it would be the same as for the first 10, one CPR, life, or what would you do? Just one for all 20?
Well, to mirror what's already there, for 20 students, you would need 4 instructors, with 2 of them being lifeguard, CPR, or first aid certified.
We currently have 7. So we need to clarify how thorough we are.
Okay, y'all got any more questions?
So if you did that, would you want to jump on board, Mr. Barker?
I prefer incrementalism. I think to go from 5 to 10, I understood that. To go from 10 to 20 seems like a lot more. I'd prefer maybe 5 more, if that would work with your economics.
Made it work to this point, I can move forward.
So are you making a motion?
I would like to make a motion to allow for an increase from 10 to 15.
Does he have a second?
Second.
Any discussion on that? Okay, so we're
On the motion.
on the motion that Mr. Parker had to move from 10 to 15, additional 5.
Dr. Houghton,
No.
Mr. Ellis,
No.
Mr. Grooms,
Yes.
Mr. Farley,
I'll vote for the reduction, yes.
Mr. Barker,
Yes.
Mayor Goodwin.
No.
Motion fails.
So we're back to the original, to 20.
15.
No, we just voted on 15.
Yeah, 20 failed, or 15 failed.
All right, any other questions or comments?
Mr. Barker,
Yes.
Mr. Farley,
No.
Mr. Grooms.
Yes.
Dr. Houghton,
No.
Mr. Ellis,
Yes.
Mayor Goodwin.
No.
Fails.
Franchises will be up when everybody else gets them, but I can't see putting that many more kids on the beach. With people already complain about the number of surf camps, the number of kids, the number of surf lessons, the number of kids on the beach as it is now. Appreciate it though. Thanks.
That's December, correct?
Yeah.
December?
That's what we're shooting for. Mr. Rocco,
Oh, let's get the captain back.
oh, I'm sorry, wait a minute. I got one ahead of you, I missed, sorry. Ms. Grimes, Catherine Grimes.
McJoel not on the agenda?
He withdrew his.
He withdrew his request.
Do you guys all get a packet about our request for variance? We have printed copies of them.
Yeah. It's all in their pack. Yeah.
317 East Cooper is the side that we're talking about tonight. And I get nervous in front of y'all, so I'm gonna let my spouse take over.
Thank you for your time and consideration. We had several of the council members call us over the weekend with questions on the packet. We live at 318 East Arctic, directly across the street. We're here seeking a variance tonight for the driveway on the East Cooper side of the parcel known as 318 East Ashley Avenue. It's one tax parcel, a non-conforming multifamily 3-building through lot with 6 rental units and 12 bedrooms. And it's the driveway on the East Cooper side that we're seeking a variance on. The history here, go ahead. The history here is the driveway, over time since we bought it in 2012, never had any right-of-way parking. The driveway itself had become cracked. We found out later from water infiltration, but the driveway, hey, you stay right here. The driveway, when we got it, we had concrete here, asphalt in the middle, and concrete here. We're calling this the north and the south side. And when we sought to redo the driveway, we obtained a permit to redo the cracked driveway into permeable pavers on the north side here. This is a before and after photo, and by the way, the number here corresponds to the page in your packet, if you wanted to flip through, if this isn't clear for you to see it. So, we wanted to redo the surface because it was dangerous, it was a trip hazard for our guests. When she bought it, there was only 4 parking spaces total, and so we inherited 4 spaces. In 2017, or excuse me, 2014, when the city paved East Cooper, the street became higher than the front door of the downstairs unit of this building. And so we created a planter, in effect a raise to create a dam from water rushing into the rental unit. And that covered the asphalt area of this. There was never any, planting or parking here. So when we wanted to redo the driveway, since this side of the property served 6 bedrooms, last year in September, the new ordinance came out with a requirement to add 1 parking space for an STR per bedroom. Even though we were grandfathered in, we thought when we were redoing the driveway, we would try to add more parking. And so during construction, this next page on page 4, you see the before photo, and on page 5 you see the after photo. But during construction, I'll show you, this is the permit on page 6. We requested only to redo the north side of the driveway, but during construction, as our vendor was taking apart the planter, he noticed some very wet soil underneath. The water meters for the entire property are over on this side, and it was discovered that the water meters and the pipes were leaking. So they dug it up, called the city, or the city said you have to excavate further, and these pipes had to be replaced. So where we started on the north side, because there was a problem, we had to dig up some the pipes on the south side of the driveway. So then the question became, well, that's beyond the scope of the permit, what are we gonna do? The vendor, we were out of town, the vendor, when this came up, called us, and we said, well, since it's dug up, give us a quote to extend the whole driveway to the south side. And we said, we'll go for it. When we come back, we'll go to the city, pay the extra permit fee. The day we got back, we received the pink sticker on the house from building department, and that's how we ended up in, let's put up back the aerial photos, I'll get it. So anyway, we're seeking a variance to have the driveway remain as built, even though it exceeded the original permit. And we talked to Eric and Jenna about it, and they informed us that it's non-compliant because we didn't provide any right-of-way parking. Our position is we've made it safer because the concrete was cracked, it was a trip hazard. We provided permeable surface instead of the old concrete, and we've taken away some of our guests parking in the right-of-way down the street. So we're requesting a variance to let it stand as is. Thank you.
Do I have a motion for approval?
Motion to approve.
Have a second?
Second.
Jenna, I'd like to hear from you and Mr. Lutz, if he's still here. You got everything.
I got the board if you need him.
I would add, I think you have page 34 in your packet is,
Before and after.
what was approved.
Oh, yes, the permit.
Yeah, with yellow. They came to us with that request to, replace the north side of the driveway from concrete to, permeable pavers, which is an easy request, and we did. If they had come asking to pay the entire lot, we would not have approved that. We would have asked that they put in a spot, where the planter is, one right-of-way spot.
It's 15 feet, the planter.
Right, we would have asked for a reconfiguration of some sort. Do you have anything to add to that?
That's really all I had.
And you didn't, I know the paper was there, but you didn't go to the city for another permit to?
No, at the time, again, we were traveling when this issue came up about them requiring to dig a little further. And since there was never any right-of-way parking, we didn't think there was any issue. We just said, okay, well, we're gonna pay our vendor more to finish the south side rather than, you know, put back the old concrete that was there. And then when we got back from our trip, we saw the sticker, we immediately called Eric and Jenna and sat down with them and found out, oh crap, we did something wrong. And so that's what we're here seeking a variance to not have the parking space, in part because we're keeping our guests from using the public right-of-way.
Is there any room on the left side of the house to put parking?
I mean, this is the way it exists now, you're talking about over here?
Yeah, and back onto the side of the house, because I know to the right of the house you got.
Up here? This is
Yeah,
where
on-
septic
on-
is.
Huh?
This is septic up here.
Okay, that's what my question
Yeah.
is, okay.
This
How
is
about
all-
on the other side of the house?
No, there's it's a walkway to get back to the houses that are deeper on the lot. So we couldn't put parking there, whoops. This diagram shows, so there's the 4 original spaces. We can't put it here because septic, and over here is a walkway to get to this back building.
Okay.
So, was your vendor licensed?
Yes, he's done
So-
a number of driveways on the site.
All right, so, I'm not even gonna ask who the vendor was. Don't laugh, Eric.
Eric said he should have known better. Those were his words.
Yeah, because being a contractor, the contractor's supposed to pull a permit, so when he saw he needed another permit, he should've went to the city immediately. and
Well,
pulled
we,
a permit.
to be fair, we instructed, we said, we'll handle this when we get back. We just need to know if we
But
can
then
afford
he
it.
should've known he didn't have a permit, he shouldn't have done anything. I mean,
We agree.
you know, you're a licensed contractor, you know you gotta have a permit to do the work.
And I'll take that hit personally because I was like, oh, this, in my mind, I'm just replacing better permeable.
Stand up there so they can hear you,
I just,
for the
I
record.
took that, I'll take that hit, and I advised him, when we get back from Seattle, we'll go to Eric, and we'll get the proper permit, not, again, thinking we did anything wrong, but, and I said, just keep going, and that's on me.
So, again, Mr. Lutz, could you come over here? Thank you, Mr. So, when you discovered this, what type of solution, what happened next? And we're here today. So, I need insight.
I'm not sure how to explain it.
He advised us to add a
No,
parking
no,
space
no.
for road variance.
I'm good. I need it from the staff.
We suggested they take this area out to create the separation between driveways,
Mm-hmm.
to make it compliant, or we offered that they could play around with taking space possibly over here or way over here, but to get back that 20-foot requirement.
Okay, so you had suggestions, there was problem solving, and you all worked together, and that was your recommendation.
Yes,
Is that fair?
that's correct.
Okay, thank you.
So, look, don't run off. So, what have you done to contractors in the past who put in stuff that wasn't supposed to be there?
We may make them rip it out quite a few times.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Okay, it will end with a question, but let me start by saying, I think the work that's been done has certainly beautified the property, the street, the community. That said, I understand it is a conflict in that we've taken public rights-of-way land that should be reserved for so. So that, of course, is problematic. I wonder, however, if there's not an opportunity to retain what's been done, but market in such a way so that there is room for a car, not one of your guests, but a member of public, to be in the middle there, without you having to remove everything.
Well, one of the things that we had talked about, Eric quoted the size that the space needed to be. If we could just replace the pavers with a different color, so that it would be identified as clearly something different. And you quoted the size, I think it was 20 feet by X amount off the right of way.
20 feet.
20 feet off the right of way?
20 feet in length is what
20 feet in length, and then it has to be deep enough from the center of the road by
25 feet.
25 feet. Okay, so that would be like the building envelope of this parking spot.
So in the middle, call it a 20 by 10-ish rectangle.
Well, he had talked about in the middle or over here or over here. And I guess our preference would be to have it off to the side.
But the problem with that would be, wherever you do it, it's gonna take away those parking spaces.
We understand that. We created 6 where there were 4. We realized we did something wrong. And if we have to go back to 4 or 5, if the numbers work, we understand that. We want to make it right for the city and try to keep as much beauty as we created.
And then my extra gas, my extra 2 cars, I'll just park on the
Just
street.
park on the street like they've been doing. Which this is what our thought process was from the get-go, is to try to get our guests from off the street, taking other right-of-way spaces.
How many bedrooms do you have in those houses?
There's 12 total. Each driveway serves 6.
So you got a driveway on the other side of the service?
Yes, on the Ashley side, but that pavement is, has good integrity. We don't have any plans to redo that at this time. This was really cracked and people had tripped.
Yeah, I got that, I'm just trying to,
Sounds like you don't need a variance to make it right with code enforcement, right?
Correct, yes, sir.
The variance request was to let it stand as is.
with 6 on each side.
Correct. Well, 6 on this side. This is the subject of the
Well,
variance.
I know, but you got 12 bedrooms total in the compound, you got 6 on each side, that would give you
Well, next year,
one parking space per bedroom.
which we understand we weren't required to do because we were grandfathered in, but when this project started, we thought, well, this is a way to accomplish several goals for the city and for us.
We're saying the same thing.
Yeah.
So, Mr. Lutz, is there an opportunity to remediate without pulling up the pavers to create that envelope for one car in the right of way? A la staining, painting in some way, or?
Not per the ordinance. It depends if you want to give them some sort of concession that's not part of the ordinance. That's, we're not designers. There's probably an architect or an engineer to come up with 48 different ways to change it if you want to.
So, I want to ask Aaron, nobody's asking this question. So, right now, we're talking about, get closer to the mic. So right now, we're talking about 2 semi-conflicting ordinances. One for STRs, which is new, that they didn't have to follow, which is 1 parking space per bedroom with the parking plate, right? The other is the driveway ordinance, which is 25 feet, 30 feet wide, or 2 15 feet with a separation, 25 feet from the center line, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Jenny, you can come up here too, because I can ask you. So I want to ask you a question, and I'll get your opinion. From purely a planning standpoint, I got this dilemma between 2 ordinances like this. If you were making that decision from a planning standpoint, which would you look at? Looking for the future, which would you look at?
Right, and there's a conflict. I would point out how often are people gonna be using which parking spaces? You're gonna have people, they may not be always renting their rooms out, are you still having people parking on the street from the right of way? That's.
Good point.
We have, what's our occupancy?
Well,
We're pretty full. So,
Well, we're empty,
But that isn't my question.
I would look at the net benefit.
If I was you, I'd say I'm not a planner anymore, but you go ahead and look at net benefit.
I would look at the net benefit. In the upper picture, you have 4 off-street parking spaces and a space in the middle that's unusable by anybody. That's not for public parking, that's not for renter parking, that's for no one parking. It was obstructed. It predates all the ordinances. It's totally legal as is. So had they not changed anything, they would have 4 perpendicular spaces and a parallel space that's unusable. Under the new situation, they have 6 usable parallel spaces and no perpendicular space. Now, realistically, they could put in a perpendicular space there on the right-of-way, but guess who's gonna park there? The renters.
Yeah.
So the general public coming to the beach will most likely be displaced from that parking space because the people who live there or rent there will park in it anyway. Not that these guys would do it, but I can see the advertisement right now. 5 off-street parking and 1 off-street parking, on-street parking, just park right here.
Human nature, and it's legal.
So it's a tough call.
You see how beautiful those bricks look?
The way it looks doesn't, the way it looks doesn't sway me. But the situation we have now is that they've taken a previously unused middle space and turned it into something someone can use. I mean, a good compromise would be to put that middle space back as a usable perpendicular space. But in real life, the person or persons who are going to use that usable perpendicular space or parallel space are most likely to be occupiers of that.
It's also gonna take out 2 spots of the 6.
That's just.
So the short version of that would be what?
The net gain is greater, plus I can understand what you're saying, that it'll free up other spots on the public parking right away, yeah.
That was our thought process, yes.
Yeah.
So on the other street, where you got it, look, you got
On
green.
Ashley?
Yeah, that you got green there.
Mhm.
Can those be turned into parking?
Those are bushes, and people do park in front of them. So there is an active space on that side.
Not measuring that space on that side. Do you know, Eric, if that's a good parking space, or do those bushes need to come down and be moved?
I would have to look at.
Yeah, people do park there.
And we'd be willing to pull those down,
Yeah.
whatever. I have cars parked there.
I just worry about precedents and how many others might be coming with the same plan to have 1 bedroom per, one space per bedroom that currently don't. And then they point and say, you did it there, and you did it for them as a variance after it was done, after they didn't ask for permission but came and asked for forgiveness. I, on the other hand, am coming and asking for permission, but you granted them a variance, so I'm just being upfront about it.
Mhm.
And then how would we say no? And then how many times would we be forced to say yes because of precedence?
Well,
I agree.
at the end, what's driving the bus is that the new 1 space per bedroom STR rule, again, the conflict that the mayor mentioned.
But you were grandfathered on that.
Correct.
What's up?
I agree with you, Mr. Foley. I totally agree with you. That's the dilemma.
Okay, y'all got any more questions, comments? Mr. Pope, it's your job.
Mr. Ellis,
Yes.
Dr. Hood,
No.
Mr. Barker,
Yes.
Mr. Farley,
No.
Mr. Grooms.
Yes.
Mayor Goodwin,
No.
fails.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Eric, can we get with you, I'll call you to set up, make sure we measure this. Call you in a minute.
All right, Mr. Rocco, you're up.
Thank you.
I promise you're up this time.
All right. Thank you. All right, I'm up. Thank you. As background, January 10th, you were kind enough to give me permission to exhibit my flag sculpture honoring the workers at Folly Pier in front of the Tides Hotel. In the interim, I was dealing with the folks at the Charleston County Parks, and they have expressed an interest. And about 3 weeks ago, it went through their bureaucratic voting process, and they didn't want to set a precedent. So I'm asking for, if I could please relocate my flag from the front beach of the Tides to the Folly River Park. And the reason would be security. been to the beach, it's just gonna, I don't know if I think Folly River Park will be a much more family-friendly location.
For how long are you asking?
Same thing, it was a temporary permit for 2 summers. So I'm guessing 16 months. So it'd be the summer of 2023, and I think through the summer of 2024 was the permission you already gave me.
So, I don't remember
It was a
that.
temporary permit.
But anyway, do you have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Have a second?
Second.
Do you remember that? Was it?
I have to read the minutes.
So
I remember.
you say 2 summers.
I was a temporary permit. I thought it was, okay.
I don't remember, but I'm just looking at your diagram for the park. So are you planning on, are you asking to put it up and take it down Labor Day? And then put it up next year and take it down Labor Day?
No, I'm sorry. It would be for 16 months,
Continuous?
continuous.
There's no way, in my mind, we could put it in the Folly River Park just because you're right in the middle of all the Christmas decorations that goes up.
Is there a place can I work with Eric or Jenner and find a location?
I would suggest if you look to find a location to be over around the community center somewhere. That's what I would suggest, to go forth and look with them and then come back. But we couldn't leave that there for 16 months like it is right now on your suggestion, just because of that. In my mind.
Is there any place, when I'm looking with the community center, can I work with somebody from Folly, like Jenner or Eric?
You'd have to work with those guys.
And looking for an alternative at the Folly River Park.
I don't know where you're gonna put it at the park because of the size of the sign, where it's not gonna interfere with the holiday decorations, Christmas decorations. That's the biggest problem down there with the size of this thing. You got a question?
You know me?
Yeah.
Okay, I have dwelled in that park. The one question I have is, there's the bathroom, there is the playground set, there is the Christmas aspect to the left, towards, and here's the dock.
There ain't enough room.
And that's the question,
Yeah, there's not the size of this, it's not enough room.
right there.
No,
And Mayor, are you sure?
yeah. Because of the way the Christmas decorations go all the way to that tree, there's just, very small amount of room right there between that and the dock.
Could it be erected in such a way that you removed it for the month of December or however long Christmas decorations are maintained?
I mean, it's portable. I mean, if I would have to work with someone from Folly, correct? I'm assuming it's Eric. So we could design it in such a, I mean, what it is, it's like a Lego set. It's big and heavy, but it's 11 timbers, 15 feet wide from the old Folly Pier, and 9 2-foot by 2-foot stars, like earring studs, so they can come on and off. That's how it's designed. But we'll probably put it up in 11 individual timber pieces, and then just put the studs in so we can reverse the process. I would have to work with Eric and figuring out what do we do with the 6x6s. If we leave them, would they be an asset to the Christmas location? I don't know. But now you have 2 6x6s embedded in the ground that you can put something against. I've been more than, or we can take them up.
So why don't y'all talk about it and then come back? That would be the best thing to do.
Talk to
Eric and Jenna.
I'm gonna give the mayor something first as a
Red and
bribe.
Welder.
Then I'll give one to Eric. So that's what we're trying to do.
Okay. All right.
So I'm leaving with, you're open to the idea, I'm working with Eric.
I'm open for you to go talk with Eric and come back and tell us what you find out. How about that?
Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you.
Yeah, okay. Well, Mr. Pope found something that you gotta remember, Eric and Jenna, that we have an ordinance that says you can't block the view of the marsh. All right. I can't can't hardly wait for the next person to show up. The answer is yes. Go ahead.
Hi, I'm Nancy Hussey, and I'm here to respectfully request that you guys let us have this 15th annual Surfer Ceiling Folly Beach Camp on Wednesday, August 23rd at the pier. And Mr. Graham has a 2-minute video. And if I've shown it before, I'm sorry, I'm 64 today, so
Happy
my
birthday.
memory is a little shaky.
Just a youngster.
Yeah, right.
You gotta look who you compared it to.
I think it's a different one, but I wanted to pick a short one, so that's why. And the boy in the video is now 20 years old and still doing surfer stealing, so.
Teacher. He's one of the most honest people that I ever know. He has autism, he's different, but his spirit is so pure. He just sees people in love. My name is Rita Ben, and I'm the mother of Derek Matthew. Matthew was 5, Sophia was 4. Sophia naturally fell in love with surfing. So now she surfs and she takes her brother surfing. She felt the inspiration because of surfer healing. Discovering surfer healing, it gave everybody kind of like a mission to do something related to surf. It became a part of our lives. It really truly changed our lives. I was super proud of both of them, and they both enjoyed this day very much. You know, this is like the Uncle Izzy, the kids are completely surrounded by these amazing people. We're super honored to have them as a, part of our family. And it sounds like every way is unique and it's different and it's an experience. And it's you and the water and that board. And that's all we need to have a moment of happiness. You know this slogan, it's like one perfect day? That's exactly what it is. It's one perfect day.
I just want to say how grateful I am to the city, because it's because of you and the residents and the businesses and the families that we are able to do it. It really is one of Izzy and the guys' favorite camps, so they kept telling me that. I'm like, y'all probably say that to everybody, but they mean it, yeah, and they love our mayor and.
Well, I was gonna say, that says one perfect day, but it's not. It seems like it's been one perfect lifetime for me, because I've been involved for, God, I don't know how many years now. How many years we've been doing this thing?
15, it would have been 16.
Yeah, 15 years, it's
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
so I have kids that I see still come that are like too old to get on the surfboard, but they still come every year. A set of brothers from Lexington, South Carolina. Man, these guys are, one of them knows everything there is to know about police.
Yeah, their dad's a detective.
And their father's a detective in Lexington. The other one knows everything you ever thought you never wanted to know about NASCAR. I mean, from racing on Daytona Beach to today. I mean, these kids are just amazing, and I love to see them every year. Look forward to seeing them, and I look forward to seeing all the other ones. Even though it is the hottest day of the year out there on that pavement, but they don't let me on the beach. They make me stay on the pavement where it's hot.
Well, you and Miss Charlotte greet all of the families. I don't know if everybody knows that or not, but every family that walks down that walkway is greeted by our mayor and first lady, so we're super grateful.
Motion approved. Have a second?
Second.
Any questions?
Partner?
Yes.
Farley?
Yes.
Scrooge?
Yes.
Dr. Hook?
Yes.
Ellis?
Yes.
Mayor Goodwin?
Yes.
Passes.
Thank y'all so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Are we gonna skip Save the Light tonight, we were running out of time. So Save the Light's up next. Finally,
Permission to come up?
finally, right?
Thank you for having me, Mayor and Council. I'm Allison Riddick Foster. I'm here as a representative of Charleston County Parks to respectfully request our application for the 2024 Save the Light 5K and Half Marathon. It would be our 20th running of the event, pun intended. We've only missed 2 years. One was COVID, and one was prior to the Charleston County Parks taking over. This year's date is February the 3rd. We continue to work with Lieutenant Ortiz to provide a safe, family-friendly event and to bring business to the area and to further highlight the area and the preservation efforts of the Morris Island Lighthouse.
Motion approved.
Have a second?
Second.
Any questions?
Dr. Houghton,
Yes.
Mr. Ellis,
Yes.
Mr. Barker,
Yes.
Mr. Farley,
Yes.
Mr. Grooms.
Yes.
Mayor Goodwin.
Yes.
Passes.
So was it worth an hour and a half of sitting there?
It was, I learned a lot about it.
Thank you very much.
I learned a lot about what not to do. Thank you.
Don't speed.
Especially after drinking.
Friends don't let friends drive drunk, right? Okay.
You might,
We need a good laugh anyway. So, ordinance 35-22, second reading of ordinance rezoning the high ground of Long Island and associated small marsh islands, including Palm Island, from residential single family to Marsh Island residential, and amending the official zoning map to reflect the change in order to implement the goals of the comprehensive plan. Second reading, to have a motion for approval. That was second.
Second.
Any questions or discussion? Mr. Pope?
Mr. Ellis,
yes.
Mr. Farley,
Yes.
Mr. Grooms.
Yes.
Mr. Barker,
Yes.
Dr. Houghton,
Yes.
Mayor Goodwin.
Yes.
Passes. Second.
Second reading ordinance 5-23, ordinance amending the Folly Beach Code of Ordinances, sections 168.50, non-conforming signs by allowing the replacement of non-conforming signs when the replacement lowers the amount of non-conforming square footage but does not exceed the maximum number of allowable signs. Second reading, to have a motion for approval.
So moved.
Have a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
Out of order though, but, after this one, we need to go back to.
On this one? Okay. So then,
Call the roll for number ordinance 05-23.
yeah.
Mr. Grooms.
Yes.
Dr. Houghton.
Yes.
Mr. Ellis,
Yes.
Mr. Barker,
Yes.
Mr. Farley.
Yes.
Mayor Goodwin.
Yes.
Passes.
Excuse me.
Second.
Back to 02-23, an ordinance amending the Folly Beach Code of Ordinances, section 163.05-03, Center Street Overlay District to require parking for tourist accommodations and short-term rental uses within the Center Street Overlay District.
Motion to approve.
Second?
Second.
Okay, any discussion, questions?
Is there an opportunity to revisit the formula as it pertains to staff?
This is your opportunity right now.
All right. I would like to propose an amendment such that we waive the on-site parking requirement for staff at these type of accommodations.
What are you talking about in this ordinance?
Well, so it was mentioned earlier by Jenna, I believe, that there's a two-part test.
But that's not in this,
ratio.
that's not in this ordinance. What are you talking about in this ordinance?
Okay, so there's not an opportunity. Very well.
That would require a separate amendment to
Yeah.
16606-04.
Yeah, what he's talking about. I thought he was talking about something he had in this ordinance. Okay, back to ordinance 02-23. Any other questions, comments? Mr. Pope?
Mr. Farley,
Yes.
Mr. Ellis,
Yes.
Mr. Barker,
Yes.
Dr. Houghton,
Yes.
Mr. Grooms.
Yes.
Mayor Goodwin.
Yes.
Passes. Second.
09/23. Second reading, authorizing and directing the city of Folly Beach to enter into an intergovernmental agreement relating to South Carolina local revenue services to participate in one or more local revenue service programs, to execute and to deliver one or more participant program supplements and other matters relating thereto. This is for our intergovernmental agreement with Massey.
Motion to second.
Second.
We got it all.
Give it, Eddie.
Okay.
Mr. Farley,
Yes.
Mr. Parker,
Yes.
Mr. Ellis,
Yes.
Mr. Grooms,
Yes.
Dr. Hook,
Yes.
Mayor Goodwin.
Yes.
Passes second.
Ordinance -12-23, ordinance amending the Folly Beach Code of Ordinances, chapter 31, by changing the date of the future mayoral and council elections. That's why I lost this one. Elections from even odd years. And I think consensus was for the motion to read, for next election would be November the 7th, 2023, and then the election after that for mayor and council would be November the 4th, 2025.
Yes, do that.
To have a
You
motion,
don't wanna give yourself 18 months, it's bad luck.
to have a motion for approval?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Okay.
Give yourself 18 months and change the referendum outcome and see what happens.
Anybody else got a comment, question?
I'm good. I'm good.
You good? All right.
Pitchforks.
Mr. Farley.
Yes.
Dr. Hook,
Yes.
Mr. Ellis,
Yes.
Mr. Grooms,
Yes.
Mr. Parker,
Yes.
Mayor Goodwin.
Yes.
Passes first.
You knew I was gonna say that, cause I already told him I would. All right, now we get down to the dollars and cents. Lee, this is you, right? Okay. A resolution 22-23, a resolution awarding $1,050 to the Folly Beach Turtle Watch to assist in educational opportunities and replace operating supplies as recommended by the Community Promotions Committee. Have a motion for approval?
Second.
Any discussion? Yes?
Could you tell us what the educational programs could be, Mr. Miller?
Well, should I stand up or?
Yeah, please.
We have a lot of educational material that we hand out to the rental companies for door hangers, lights out door hangers and trifolds that have explanation of turtles and turtle seasons and what to do and what not to do. We have those at like family fun nights. We're going to go there. We go to schools. We talk at various locations. So that's one thing. We just wanted the educational material. So that's the educational materials.
I will say that we hand out educational materials at kindergarten. My wife said yes to a kindergarten group.
Right.
So there was 2-year-olds and then there was 3 and 4-year-olds. But she so graciously said she would do the 3 and 4-year-olds and left me with the 2-year-olds.
Well,
What an experience. God bless the kindergarten people who work there. That's all I can say. After about 2 minutes, it was tough talking about turtles. The first 2 minutes was good, but after that was tough. But at least we had material to hand out, and they could go over it again later on. And they had coloring pages. They loved those. So, just things like that.
Coloring books are good with the kids.
thank you.
Mr.
Parker,
Yes.
Mr. Farley,
Yes.
Mr. Grooms,
Yes.
Dr. Hook,
Yes.
Mr. Ellis,
Yes.
Mayor Goodwin.
Yes.
Passes.
Resolution 23-23, a resolution by Folly Beach City Council amending the contract for firehouse improvements and repairs that include condensation mitigation, HVAC replacement, kitchen upgrade, and ceiling repairs to also include $15,981.61 for required mold abatement discovered during the construction to Johnson Law Okay, that's how you pronounce it. Construction.
Motion to approve.
Have a second?
Second.
Any questions for Mr. Lutz? I think it's pretty self-explanatory.
Mr. Ellis?
Yes.
Dr. Houghton?
Yes.
Mr. Grooms?
Yes.
Mr. Farley?
Yes.
Mr. Parker?
Yes.
Mayor Goodman?
Yes.
Passes.
Resolution 24-23. This is a resolution designated the second week in May as Lung Cancer Action Week.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Any discussion, questions? Okay.
Mr. Grooms?
Yes.
Mr. Ellis?
Yes.
Mr. Parker?
Yes.
Dr. Houghton?
Yes.
Mr. Farley?
Yes.
Mayor Goodwin?
Yes.
Passes.
Resolution 25-23, a resolution of Folly Beach City Council amending the contract for Ashley Avenue pedestrians path for change orders incurred during construction to True Luck Roadway Services. A motion for approval?
So moved.
Have a second?
Mr. Parker?
Yes.
Mr. Ellis?
Yes.
Mr. Farley?
Yes.
Dr. Houghton?
Yes.
Mr. Grooms?
Yes.
Mayor Goodwin? Passes.
Resolution 26-23, a resolution authorizing the allocation of the remaining fiscal year 2023 City Council discretionary funds to be divided equally among 6 council members for their discretionary spending on or before the end of the fiscal year. Have a motion to approve?
So moved. Second.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
I'd like to offer amendment
Okay.
where we use community pedestrian pass projects as defined by council.
Discretionary fund.
Oh, sorry.
We'll skip the next one. Any discussion about discretionary fund? Questions? I can recuse myself from this one since I'm not one of the 6, right?
Dr. Houghton?
Yes.
Mr. Farley?
Yes.
Mr. Grooms?
Yes.
Parker?
Yes.
Mr. Ellis?
Yes.
Mayor Goodwin?
Sure, I love spending it.
All right. Passes.
Okay, 27-23. Resolution by Folly Beach City Council approving the Tourism Visitors Promotion Committee's TVPC request to expend an additional $106,000 of unbudgeted, unobligated monies held in their fund above their approved fiscal year 2023 budget for use on community pedestrian paths.
Motion to approve.
Have a second?
Second.
This just gives you all the leeway you want, Mr. Farley, the way it's written.
Well, it says, for use on community pedestrian paths as indicated in the attached committee meeting minutes, and that's what the
Yeah.
committee meetings are specific to those 2 projects. So just offer to eliminate that and say as directed by council.
Yeah, that's fine. So you wanna make, wait a second, so you wanna make the motion to say, just to read,
Pedestrian paths projects as directed by council.
Second.
okay.
I'll second that motion.
Okay, any discussion, comments, questions? Mr. Pope on the amendment.
Mr. Ellis?
Yes.
Dr. Houghton?
Yes.
Mr. Grooms?
Yes.
Mr. Farley?
Yes.
Mr. Parker?
Yes.
Mayor Goodwin?
Yeah. Might as well.
Passes.
The amendment passes. Now back to 27-23, the original resolution as amended. Any questions, comments?
Mr. Parker?
Yes.
Mr. Farley?
Yes.
Mr. Grooms?
Yes.
Dr. Houghton?
No.
Mr. Ellis?
Yes.
Mayor Goodwin?
Yes.
Passes.
Okay, Mr. Barker, would you like to start comments tonight?
Certainly. bravo to the mayor for his opening remarks. Tough situation, very well articulated. I want to piggyback upon the theme being public safety. And just mention, I received something in the mail from Carolina Tales. I suspect others in the community have as well. That's Tales, Tails. Maybe a function of my having previously contributed to pet helpers or possibly being a customer of the Charleston Veterinary Referral Center, but I get this quarterly periodical. And within it, there happened to be an article which is entitled Firefighters Ready to Help Pets in Emergency. I don't know if we have this capability, and if we don't, I think it's probably worth looking into, and maybe, Mayor, with your blessing, the chief could brief us on what this would entail at a future time. But essentially, if you think about a fire in a home, we respond, we treat humans to the extent that they're injured, but we may not currently, as is now the case with the North Charleston Fire Department, have capabilities to treat animals on site that are in distress.
I'll give that to you, Deputy Chief, Fire Chief.
Okay.
Rocky.
Perfect. So essentially what North Charleston Fire Department has done, working with an organization called the Fetch Foundation and Charleston Animal Society's Chief Veterinary Officer, there is training for personnel, and there are free resources called, I believe they're Fido bags that provide things like oxygen masks, bandages, splints, leashes, all the things that you would need when you found a dog or cat in distress, and it can be life-saving. So I know, pets are very personal, members of family to so many. So glad I read the article. I'll turn it over to you, and I know it will be in your capable hands to take from here.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
I have just 3 comments. The theme is dreams. I want to let you know that anything is, it sounds hokey, possible. When I first came to Folly 13 years ago, green space. That's all I could see was green. I wasn't that worried about STIs. Probably didn't even know what they were at the time, to be frank. And the dream of Shadow Race, Horace Park, to have Folly Beach commit themselves to those pocket parks, to the green space, is amazing. That's a dream come true, and I want to recognize that. The next dream was
Before you go too much further, those 2 that you mentioned was also made available by residents who lived here who owned those properties that was willing to give up those properties for a very cheap price or for free.
Really?
Yeah.
See, that, more dreams. Secondly is the museum. And yes, indeed, that was another amazing dream. And unbelievable. Unbelievable. And so here we are in like the third or fourth, Mr. Halley, third or fourth gyration of the museum. We were the beginning advisory board, the mayor saw the vision, Mrs. Goodwin saw the vision, and we're off and running. So I really want to welcome the fact that we have that museum, we have that opening, and that was the next dream. Last but not least, education. The fact that we just got that award, 1 in 17 out of what, 200-ish? How smart are we? So the fact that professional development opportunities are here for staff and for us is just a beautiful thing. So that's my little dream. And it's happening.
Deacon Dave's sitting right here. The blood drive is Wednesday, 6/21, 9 to 2 at Father Kelly Hall, and you can sign up online for it.
Correct. RedCrossBlood.org.
Red Cross Blood.org.
How many nests so far?
One
Just
on Folly.
Okay. Well, I meant for us.
There are, I think, 10 in South Carolina. They were the 8th nest of the year.
That's all.
Well, I'd just like to thank everybody, the staff and council, mayor and council. Everybody have a good evening.
Bouncing off what Dr. K said about us being real smart.
Yes,
Real
smart.
Well, we didn't get this way by osmosis. We all had teachers in our lives in one way or another, and I think everybody can think of one or two or more teachers in their lives that really had a big impact on yourself and your careers and where you ended up. Today, the second Tuesday of every May, is National Teachers Day. So I know it's a little late this evening, but tomorrow and the next day and 5 weeks from now, please show your appreciation for teachers that really gave us lasting contributions that they made in our lives. So thank a teacher, not today, but every day. So there you have it.
Do I have a motion?
So moved.